This is Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search for my site. There are four things I'm going to be touching on, four inputs into my blogging, social. I'm soliciting for this anti-cancer thing, comments on the internet. One from someone who calls himself Catholic Boy Waste, which I think is his clever name. However, he's referring to me. It's a name he gives himself, but I believe this is the same person who calls himself Berry and Crunchberry. Then there's someone who calls himself Kung Fu Fighting. It might be the same person. And then there's Maureen, who I'll refer to in a moment. It's an exchange on Facebook. I'm going to read these comments. Now, to combine this, my solicitation and what's more so is the rejections, the numerous rejections on this anti-cancer campaign that I was soliciting for. One, then this Kung Fu Fighting, Catholic Boy Waste, and Maureen. These four kind of emotional punches landed. And I have this history of generating some back pain if I'm not kind of dealing and expressing and being productive about emotional hits. And I got caught. So to the extent any of these three people or any of the people who rejected, denied me an anti-cancer solicitation, want to celebrate that, oh, we hit him, we hurt. If it's mean intended, then yeah, it'd be an appropriate time to celebrate. Now, to credit any oneself for being clever and especially a skilled puncher, that credit is not due. It has more to do with circumstances and catching me at a weak moment than it has to do with vicious punch. So first, Catholic Boy Waste. Teflon is slick, non-porous, like a mine in free fall. Snowflake, proud as Portland, Seattle, Chicago, New York. Now, the second one is Kung Fu Fighting, and now I realize this is the same person. This is Kung Fu Fighting. This is Catholic Wasted Boy, or Catholic Boy Waste, Crunchberry. These are all the same person. Another Snowflake diatribe. Have you ever served your country? You are part of the problem, definitely not part of the solution. Your blog becomes quite political and a rambling cry of your opinion, which is not fact-based. Now, for Maureen, this was on Facebook, and I know both these women. One woman posted something, and the reply from Maureen was, "Get the," and I did think she wrote "fuck," but she didn't. Now that I've copied and pasted it to my notes, "Get the F out of here," she writes. Then I get involved, and she writes to me, "Then go get help. There are plenty of counselors to help you and your wife. Marriage is between two people and doesn't need to include the president. Quit blaming others for your problems. Take control of yourself and your relationship with your spouse. Ridiculous. A marriage is between a man and a woman, whoever you're married, or whoever you're married to." Then she writes, "Tom Duty, good luck. I wish you well as you sort through." Now, the anti-cancer thing is the fourth thing, and that is a little strange. I'm not just soliciting for a $10 donation to this anti-cancer campaign. I am soliciting for $10 to partner with my $10 to make a $20 campaign donation in the name of me and someone else. So someone that says yes has to say yes to $10, and in addition to that, have his or her name appear with mine in the credits for the campaign. So this is where it becomes especially hurtful, because a rejection is, okay, people they don't want to give money right now. Soliciting for money always comes out with 100 rejections for one accept, or maybe 25 rejects, including one accept. But then this gets especially offensive, because are they denying me $25? They just don't want their name to appear with mine. Now, one of my rejections came from a cousin who is, Facebook posting about a lot of typical Republican things, conservative things, trashing Obama, doing Hillary's emails with the endless unflattering pictures of Hillary, calling Obama a terrorist, celebrating the fact that Bill Clinton is on the flight log of Jeffrey Epstein. And I don't remember this being in his, but Benghazi is also kind of fits this genre of the things that Republicans, conservative, express anger, and these topics come out. Again, the one that I see and catches my eye most visibly is the unflattering pictures of Hillary. So the one comment about Maureen is just this idea of being sensitive, being insensitive, and being a psychopath. I am insensitive. I'm sure I've been considered insensitive and had someone fault me for that and had good reason to fault me for that. In general, I'm relatively fragile, and I have a medical history that shows some especially difficult trauma over what is nothing more than an emotional wound. And then you go all the way to the other extreme with a psychopath, and I don't remember which one is diagnosed psychopath after his death, but one of the Columbine bombers was a diagnosed psychopath, widely considered, few dispute it. And the cold killing and the celebration and even laughter in some of the recordings as he killed people is a sociopath or psychopath. So on this scale, insensitive. The Maureen comment, I think, was just get the F out of here. I've read the article that solicited that response, and I didn't see anything that justified the nasty comment. Now, I put myself in the woman's shoes, imagine myself receiving that blow, and for some reason it hurt a lot more for me than if I had absorbed it myself. This other two of the four that I'm talking about right now, two of them are traceable to this crunch berry or fruity berry. This man I've declared, first of all, I have credibly identified him as a man. This is an anonymous writer, could be a man or woman. I know it's a man, I know it's an American, and I have a sense this man is about my age. And his words are unquestionably more vicious than get the F out of here. I mean, get the F out of here is like a comment that should just wash off anyone. So certainly there's a time, place, and occasion where some of these hurt more. And that get the F out of there, for some reason, struck. So again, I'm not giving the puncher in this case credit for being especially clever or skilled puncher, but the circumstances, time, place, and occasion really struck. And I have some symptoms that show it. So back to Kung Fu Fighting. Your blog has become political rambling cry of your opinion and not fact-based. I am Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel, and I am a recreational blogger. Nowhere did I claim to be fact-based. I am an amateur. I'm not a professional. And this rambling cry of my opinion, I could call it my rambling cry of my opinion. So this is the kind of stuff that Kung Fu Fighting, aka, uses that doesn't especially stick, because he kind of criticizes me for things that I define myself as. So that's comment on one of the two. Now the criticism of my use of Teflon, I was claiming to be Teflon, and here I am at a different time, place, and occasion, recognizing I'm really not. So his comments on Teflon are valid. Now, for anyone who might celebrate this idea of landing a punch and wounding me, enjoy. To the extent you also find the anti-cancer thing as especially hurtful and deserving, I really challenge you to do this. Try to find someone who will put your name with yours, pit his or her name with yours, to do anything together. It is a rare commodity in today's internet. Everyone has a personality, a digital footprint, and these footprints don't match up very well. There's some people that have functional friendships over a long period of time and come to discover through social media that their political opinions are disparate, wildly disparate. So all of a sudden, the friend that would think that an easy yes for a partnership donation like I proposed ends up being a no. So I created this idea that because it's so scarce, it was something that I wanted to achieve. It's not easy. I haven't given up yet, but I'm resting right now. And then finally, listeners, if you've made it this far, I promise you, you're one of less than 5. I know from the ClickTap history reports in my analytics that nobody makes it to the end. So if you're here, you're probably personally involved in the story, and you're listening to something that will only be heard by 2 or 3 people. I mean, literally, there are things in email boxes that people intended to keep private, that people intended to be password protected and heard by no one other than a one-to-one communication. And many of those things get out to very large audiences. We got one right now with the CEO, former CEO of McDonald's, who has his nudies in the hands of security professionals at McDonald's. And he's being sued over this. So these one-to-one audience, perceived one-to-one audiences, sometimes get wildly large audiences. This audience will never be big. Even though it's open, it's on YouTube, supposedly anyone who clicks can hear it. Almost nobody will. We're talking about less than 5 people who've heard this final words. It's been Tom Duty, middle-aged American, living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty and a Google search for my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.